Yo, what's happening? It's your boy Obi-Wan. If you're new, by the way, make sure you subscribe since I'm going to be making more long-form content. Now, in this particular video, I want to talk about the problem that people face after they finish their cut. So let's say you've just finished a cut, you've done well, you've got lean, you lost a significant amount of body fat. Congrats. But a lot of people, most people, not a little amount of people, most people, you might be one watching and you may fall victim to this, and I don't want you to fall into that trap hole. So a lot of people end up rebounding a lot of fat. They get fat again very quickly. They have this bad habit of binge eating super fast. And it's not just because of one reason, but it's because of multiple reasons. I'm going to get into this in this video. So by the end of this video, you should have no problem maintaining your leanness and pulling it off perfectly and efficiently well without getting a rebound and fat phase. There are multiple rules into this and they're very important. It's a common trap, as I stated in the beginning of the video. So you want to pay close attention, send this to other people if possible, and watch hard. So the first part I want to talk about, which is something that a lot of people fall into, is the types of foods people eat. So throughout the cut, a lot of people are quite disciplined. They have that disciplined mentality of I'm not done yet. But when they finish their cut and they up their calories slightly, this gives them the intention, or the habit of being a bit more lenient with what they can add in their stomach. Sometimes they might be like, oh, you know what, I'll just eat a little bit more just for that specific day. You know, that food's a bit nice. I've been in a long cut. I'll just give myself a break. But then because they've only just finished the cut, you need to remember your hunger hormones, your leptin, your ghrelin, they're still in that, oh, I need to look for more food state. So your body's still in this state where it wants more food because of how long you've put it in the deficit. So you do not want to take that lightly and nibble a bit of extra food, because your hunger hormones are still sensitive. So it's very easy to spike your appetite quickly if you're not careful with the way you up your calories and the types of foods you eat. Now, in terms of the types of foods people eat, a lot of people in their diet, they don't eat great foods. They eat foods that are rich in refined sugars. Now, refined sugars are just table sugars, and they tend to be foods like chocolate bars, Kit Kats, cookies, donuts, cakes, cereals, a lot of foods basically that have no fiber in them. Now, fibers has an important role in making sure that your digestive system basically takes in the sugar at a slower pace. So if you eat foods that are rich in refined sugars and have very little fibers to be able to slow down the rate in which the sugar is released into the bloodstream, your body's insulin levels are going to spike high. Now, when that happens, your sugar levels or your blood glucose levels will start crashing as a result of the excessively high insulin. Now, your insulin will blast regardless of what types of foods you eat, even if it's not carbohydrates. However, in the specific case of refined sugar-rich foods that aren't like foods like fruits or anything like that, I'm talking about foods that were chemically processed, like chocolate bars, Kit Kats, all these sugary foods. These foods just have a lot of refined sugars in them. They don't have these fibers that slow them down. So when you eat them, it's so easy to spike your cravings. And on top of that, the dense calories in them don't help either. And you don't want to fall for that trap. So what I want you to do is, I want you to be careful of your diet. Now, is this something to take on board? You don't have to take it on board. The laws of thermodynamics still states that if you're still within a specific calorie threshold, you'll be just fine. However, there's a lot of psychological games into this. So if you want to maintain control of your cravings, I highly recommend you stay away from all these processed sugary foods. And that's not just by the time you finish the cut. This is even during your cut. Even during your cut, I still don't recommend eating these sugar-rich foods, even if it's at a limited amount, because all that does is it gives you the itch to want more. And trust me, I know this from experience. One of the times where I got fat after doing one of my cuts back in 2025 was because throughout my cut, I was still having a limited amount of these sugary foods, but it always gave me a slight itch and it made it slightly harder to resist having high calories. Now, when I finished that cut, I intended to do a reverse diet. But that failed. That failed because I started to up the calories of these sugar-rich foods. Now, bear in mind, I've only just finished the cut at the time, so a lot of my hunger hormones were quite unbalanced and sensitive. So when I wanted to eat a little bit more of that sugary food, I was very lenient, and it gave me that bad habit of just binge eating them. So I was constantly binge eating cookies, cereals, and guess what? I set myself back. So I'm not expecting you to be able to solve this and somehow flip the tables the next day, because that's not going to happen. But if you really do want to get all these sugary foods out of your diet and only stick to the whole foods and obviously just fruits, just more healthier options that don't give you that spiky craving, you can slowly strip them away one by one. So for example, you can go easy on yourself and replace it with mango. And there are alternatives you can have as well, such as Greek yogurt with protein powder. Replace it with foods that are closer in resembling it, but don't give you that ridiculously high spike. And obviously you can replace it with dark chocolate as well to a degree. So try and do these smart tactics where you can replace it with healthier options, but also isn't going to spike your bloodstream, and go easy as well. That's where you can start. For example, in my case, I was replacing it with mangoes because obviously they're fruits, but they still have higher bits of sugar, but at the same time, they've got a bit of fiber in them to a degree. But when I slowly started to be a bit more selective with the foods that I eat, it made it much harder for me to control cravings. Don't get me wrong, you will always feel a bit hungry throughout your cut. That's unavoidable. You will always feel hungrier. However, when you don't have these cravings of more sugary foods in your system, it makes the process a lot easier, and it makes you much less likely to binge. So that's number one. So control your diet and try and be careful of the types of foods you eat, because that can really help your psychological factor as well. Another thing is stress eating. Now, this could happen regardless. This could happen throughout your cut, even in the middle of your cut, but post-cut is probably the times where it can happen more, because post-cut, your hunger hormones are at its worst because of how long you've dragged the deficit. The longer you drag the deficit, the more unbalanced your ghrelin and your leptin is going to be. So you're going to feel even hungrier and less satiated. Now, chances are you're going through another career, 9 to 5. There are things going on in your life, could be relationships, finances, whatever. Now, how you deal with that stress is very important. Now, back then, I did another cut in the future of what happened in the last time when I binged. My diet was fine. However, there were things going on in my life during that time. And what I did as a coping mechanism was I would basically binge eat. Now, I was eating healthy foods. I wasn't eating foods like chocolate bars or any of that because I knew how that would spike my cravings. But I had a coping mechanism to basically justify not finishing a task or doing something that I was supposed to be doing because of how much it made my head stressed. So I would try and just occupy my time eating extra Weetabix with protein milk, just filling my stomach just to cope from the stress. Now, a lot of people do this. People are very surprised with how common stress eating is, but it's very easy to do this and just go excessively high in your calories. And that's exactly what happened. So the second cut I did well in the cut, did a reverse diet properly. But after that, when I started binge eating, it just had a negative impact and I ended up getting fat again. So my advice is, if there's a problem in your life, if you're going through struggle, please just face it. I know how ugly it is, but eating food, stress eating, even if it's 1 day, 2 days, it's not going to solve the problem. You need to face whatever problem you have in your life head on. If it's work related, you just have to do the work. Starting the work is the scariest part. Starting is always the scariest bit. I guarantee you a lot of people who are stress eating because of something going on regarding work or any of that, they haven't even started. They haven't even faced it yet. Starting is the hardest part. So make sure you start it. Start your work, get it done. And I promise you, when you start it, when you do the work, you feel so much better. It gives you that best dopamine and best feeling that you won't even have any urge to want to stress eat. So just face your problem head on in the mirror. This isn't even anything to do with the gym. This is to do with anything. People can end up binge eating as a coping habit. They can end up smoking. They could do anything that's not good for them just to escape the reality. And I understand that life can be tough sometimes, but you just have to face your problem head on and it makes you feel so much better. Believe me, you've worked hard to lose all that fat. Why throw it all out the window? Now, the third point is very important. Now, this is another personal thing. So when people work hard to lose fat, they expect a reward to come out of it. Now, in my case, obviously, I'm doing this. I'm doing social media, and I'm doing all this recording and documenting everything. And I was subconsciously hoping things go well. I was subconsciously hoping to blow up on social media one day, or things just start working out well, thinking, oh, you know what, this cut was really worth it. You shouldn't do it hoping for extra reward. And I know it sounds very silly and just boring saying that, but what I mean is a lot of people are expecting to become social media fitness influencers the moment they lose all that fat and they become shredded and they look amazing, like David Lade or Jeff Seed, all these famous shredded people. But the truth and reality is a lot darker. There are loads and loads and loads of people out there, amazing people who are underrated, who are not even seen, who have one of the top-notch physiques. And unfortunately, life isn't fair. And I had to learn this the hard way. Life isn't fair. Some people, a few people will probably blow up. I know a few people who have. I know other people, loads of other people with exceptionally amazing physiques who just haven't blown up yet. Sometimes, I will not deny it, social media doesn't treat everybody equally. If you blow up, you blow up. If you don't, you don't. For example, I have a friend called Lewis. He's about to do a competition. He has an amazing physique, worked his ass off during the cut, got super shredded, has a much better physique than many people I see out there. But I don't think Instagram is treating him that fair. And despite the amazing physique and build that he has and the talks that he makes on his daily videos, nothing blows up. So the point is, don't do it hoping that you're going to get crazy rewards. People are immediately going to be like, oh, wow, look at this, and that you become popular. Don't do it for that. Just do it for you. So don't expect reward such as that to come in your way. Think of that more as a bonus. The main reward should be the physique itself. Like, for example, right now, I'm in a good spot now. I've lost a lot of fat and I've got a decent physique, but I've still got some more to lose. But I'm in a good state since my lower belly's tight. I'm at a very good spot. Even my leg veins are beginning to show again. We're good. However, I'm doing this just for me. Like, if I get lean and I get an amazing physique, great. I have an amazing physique. If I blow up, I blow up. If I don't blow up. But hey, at least I got a good physique. The last thing you want is to tell yourself, why? I've got nothing given as a reward. So I'm just going to, you know what? I'm just going to throw away all my hard work. Are you okay in the head? So you're telling me you've worked for months and months and months and months and months to build your physique, sculpt it, and chisel away all that fat. I'm not going to deny it. It's a painful process. You suffer because you put yourself in a deficit. You got to put down the fork. It's not a fun process. So now you're telling me because he didn't blow up, because he didn't get the reward that you want, you're just going to throw all that hard work out the window. And if you ever want to come back to where you were, you've got to put yourself back in that trap hole. Seriously? That's disappointing. So long story short, in my specific case, I had an old TikTok account and it was at about 4K followers, I believe. And unfortunately, not long after finishing my cut, I suffered a permanent shadow ban. All of a sudden, my views were almost zero. Or they were basically single digit, double digit, they were stuck. Now, I used to get hundreds of views in the past, at minimum. Hundreds of views minimum. If my videos weren't great, they were hundreds. If they were doing well, they'd get thousands and thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of views. But all of a sudden, one day, they were just stuck at double digits, single digits, whatever. I was sending dozens of emails to TikTok support. Obviously, TikTok being the corrupt company they are, nothing was resolved. So I ended up having to nuke the account starting from zero again. So I had to climb myself back up the ladder. I mean, right now I'm doing all right, 1.6K, and that can happen to anybody. That's the thing. With social media, you're not guaranteed to do well. Now, if you're watching this, chances are you lift weights and you're probably doing a prepping process. And some of you might be expecting a reward such as popularity, validation from people around you. Don't expect that. The reward should come from your physique on its own. Obviously, you should take pictures. I think it would be a shame if you don't take pictures of your physique and the hard work. Otherwise, you've got nothing really to document and look back on. But that alone should be your reward. That alone should be something you can look back on and be proud of. Getting really high popularity, getting people come to you being like, oh, you look amazing, you look great. This is just something extra because social media as well, there's no guarantee you'll do well. It's a gamble. I see so many reckless individuals quitting their 9-to-5 just because they want to lock in on social media. Very reckless and unwise decision because there is no guarantee you can do well. I mean, Instagram, TikTok, even YouTube to a degree can very unfairly ban you just like that without any warning. It can happen. It can happen to anybody. We've seen Dave Trains on TikTok. He got banned for an absolute stupid reason, didn't deserve it, but guess what? It happened. And there are many other famous influencers who get banned, so it happens. You could get shadow banned, whatever it is. Don't expect reward. Just do it solely for you. Now, if you incorporate all of these mentalities, fixing your diet, making sure you don't eat foods that are really high in sugar, you don't have to do it, but it's something I'd highly recommend. If you want to be more mentally locked in, having less tendencies or impulses to binge eat, I would highly suggest eating more whole foods and being more carefully selective with the meals you eat. But also, don't do it expecting for reward, because if you expect rewards, you're depending yourself on motivation. Don't do it for that. The motivation should be the physique that you have, not for other people's validation, not to blow up on social media. And then another part is, if you've got problems going on in your life, such as struggles, financial struggles, work, you need to face that head on, because binge eating or doing any unhealthy habit to cope out of it is not going to fix the problem. It's going to make the problem linger and grow, because the problem's going to follow you and you can never escape it. And it's just going to throw away all your hard work slowly. So when you face that problem and you deal with it, you'll feel so much better and you'll feel even more motivated to continue progressing, whether that be reverse dieting, cutting, or eating at a calorie surplus at a sensible rate. If you found this video useful, make sure you subscribe. This is only the beginning of the long form content I'm going to make, and I'm going to make so much more. I'm also going to make a series on the kind of toxic masculinity that a lot of people preaches and trying to dissect things, making it easier for people to understand. Stay tuned. And apart from that, there's going to be more videos to come. Subscribe.